Hey, welcome to a new Ramble here on this channel, and today I actually want to talk about a topic that I already touched on somewhat, which is how much RuneScape 3 skilling actually sucks. Now, this is something that actually flew under my radar, and it was something that I just kind of stumbled across when I was looking into just something I don't remember anymore, but which is so we have a 110 rune crafting expansion, right? And the thing is, something that completely flew under my radar when they did that was that they added the Astral portal to the Abyss. So the Abyss is a little area that you can be teleported to by the Wilderness Mage next to the ditch that has pretty much access to every single rune crafting altar, right? You can just get to any single rune crafting altar from that spot, except Astral. The Astral altar, because it didn't have a specific zone and it was in the overworld, which was in the Lunar Isle, it didn't have any portal to it. And I actually enjoy that because it made it a unique way of making money. Astral runes were actually like the most expensive runes these past few months, and it was actually a money maker that was pretty AFK that I used to do. It was, look, money making in RuneScape 3 is just, it sucks. It's pretty much dead in the water. It's the same shit with old school RuneScape, to be honest. Only very few money makers are even worth doing, and even then, nothing compares to PVM. PVM just shits out way too much GP in both games. This is not just exclusive to RuneScape 3. In both games, in order for you to actually have viable money makers through skilling, at least when it comes to GP per hour, you're always better off doing anything that is PVMing related than you are skilling. You only do skilling for money if you really feel like it, which in RuneScape 3 no one feels like it, because people are just gonna tell you, oh, why you're doing that, you should just do this method and then use the time to go PVM or whatever, and you'll make so much more money, as if I'm not playing the game for fun and I'm playing the game to be efficient. Bro, if I want to be efficient, I wouldn't be playing the fucking game, because it's not an efficient use of my time to play RuneScape 3, you know what I mean? But still, they added that, and I was really disappointed. This is something that I already spoke when it comes to RuneScape 3, which is how skilling is seen in RuneScape 3. And skilling essentially has this problem where it lacks depth, it lacks dynamic, right? Basically, and to give you an example, usually in RuneScape 3, most skilling methods rely on one of two things: XP per hour or GP per hour, basically. And they can be further divided by being AFK or non-AFK, right? Usually you sort of have that, quadrant of methods, and they all fall under those, but usually speaking, you will have one method that is good at one thing, and that's pretty much it. So, for example, let's take rune crafting. Rune span, AFK, good XP. Abyss, good XP, active. And pretty much, depending on the rune you're doing in the Abyss, it can also be good GP and active, right? So essentially those are the, area of effect that rune crafting has. And that's an issue. Because the thing is, with Astral runes, the best part about them was that you were given a choice. You can either do Abyss rune crafting and have less profit, right, but have way higher XP. Actually, you would still have higher profit because of the magical threads being super high priced, and a couple of other things like extra runes from the Abyss and everything. But still, for example, I AFK'd Astral runes because, you would click, and then after 40 seconds you would arrive to the altar, because you could if you have max distance, you could just click next to the altar, and then you would just flick the screen, craft the runes, teleport back to a bank, and then you teleport back, and then you click, and then you can you just look at any other screen for another 30-40 seconds, and your character just runs there, right? Pretty semi-AFK, honestly even AFK method of training rune crafting and making a lot of GP with it. I made a few mil at least with crafting Astral runes, right? The problem is nowadays the price of Astral runes has kind of fallen off because you can just do them through the Abyss, and that's kind of the issue. Pretty much when it comes to active rune crafting, you don't really do active rune crafting anywhere else. You do active rune crafting in the Abyss. That's it. That's the only place in the game where you do active rune crafting. And that's bad, because essentially we are centrifying skilling methods, and that's bad for the game, because essentially, how are you going to develop runecrafting methods that are interesting to do that don't rely on the abyss, because you are essentially shepherding the whatever, like you're just guiding the player so much into being used to having these, okay, through this one method I pretty much, like, this is the best way to do everything related to this skill, so much that it makes it impossible to add any other, like, skilling methods. Because right now, what other method do you want to add for runecrafting? Because there isn't any that you can add, right? Any method will be worse XP or worse GP per hour because the abyss exists, and any method that is better XP per hour or better GP per hour, people just demand it to be added to the abyss because the abyss is the supreme way of doing things. You are making players so used to use the abyss when it comes to runecrafting, and you have been doing that because of all of the buffs over the years to getting extra XP from the abyss, which is just really fucking stupid in my opinion, and crafting extra runes and getting magical threads, and pretty much like if you want to do anything from runecrafting, you need to use the abyss. Otherwise, it's just like you're just unlocked. There's no other ways of getting shit from runecrafting, right? And then it's just so bad because now any method that you add is never going to be as good as abyss runecrafting. Or if it is, people are going to demand that it gets added to the abyss. Like, for example, the new time rune, right? Oh, time rune is added, abyss. Time altar, abyss. Because you just you got players used to always using the abyss. This is not healthy for the game, because you don't actually get to deepen the skills, right? The skills will always keep being one note rather than being given options. Now, how do you do that when the profitability of skills just isn't viable anymore, right? You do the same shit that old school RuneScape does. Let's take a look at old school RuneScape, shall we? Old school RuneScape doesn't have rune spam, but old school RuneScape has the Abyss. The Abyss is very helpful because it allows you to get to any altar that you want in the game through the Abyss, with the exception of a couple of altars, right? First of all, the Soul altar doesn't exist. The Blood altar, while you do have a true altar nowadays, you can also have the Zea altar, and that's pretty much. I think you also don't have the Rough altar. I think that is pretty much exclusive to the Champions Guild, right? So while the Abyss is really good, a lot of the times you're still better off not using the Abyss. On top of that, especially when it comes to certain altars, it's just faster to not use the Abyss. Take the Cosmic altar, for example. The Cosmic altar is way faster for you if you go through your POH, or if you're, an old person like me, if you go through the Legends Guild Fairy Ring, because the Quest Cape teleports you to the Fairy Ring there. Or at least it used to. I don't know. Yeah, it is the Quest Cape that teleports you to the Legends Guild. Or am I confusing RuneScape 3, where the Legends Cave teleports you there? I don't know which is which at this point, but regardless, in old school, the best way is through the Quest Cape, and you do that, right? So essentially, there's a couple of things where it's like, yeah, the Abyss is really convenient, but it's not the best in certain scenarios. And that's kind of the problem with RuneScape 3. In which scenarios is it not the best? Because Astral runecrafting, it didn't used to be the best because it didn't have the Astral altar there. But for everything else, if you don't go through the Abyss, you don't get extra XP, you don't get extra runes, you don't get the magical threads. And you don't also get the benefit from the relics that archaeology gives you when it comes to putting you in the center of the Abyss, right? Which is like huge. So what options do you have if you're not using the Abyss in RuneScape 3, right? Because in old school, again, like, I have more better, and even if, let's say, okay, I don't want to do normal runecrafting, I have Zea runecrafting, the XP rates are completely abysmal, but I actually get to craft soul runes, and it's the only way to do that in the game right now, or I get to craft blood runes, which, while there is an actual blood rune crafting altar, the crafting blood runes in Zea is somewhat AFK, so I can choose between more profit per hour and more XP per hour, but more active, or less and much more AFK. Or I can, just do Orienia altar. It's better XP than a lot of these methods, but, it's pretty good, right? And you just you kind of need to be somewhat active, but you don't really get to choose the runes that you end up using. Or I can just do it's not Remnants of the Eye, that's the quest, but it's the Guardians of the Rift. There we go. The Guardians of the Rift is a minigame, a runecrafting minigame, that gives you unique rewards. It gives you the Remnants of the Eye outfit. So if you want to get more runes when you are runecrafting, you need to do this minigame to get it, right? You can also get a lantern and everything, right? So essentially my point is, while, you know, the viability of, you know, profiting through skilling in old school RuneScape isn't exactly the best, you have a lot of methods, they have their pros and cons, and you have a lot of rewards that actually help embolden a lot of those methods, you know, because even if Guardians of the Rift isn't the best XP per hour or the best GP per hour for that matter, it has useful rewards for the rest of the skill, right? But in RuneScape 3, you don't. Like, for example, let's think about the magical threads and the rune pouches, right? What if those came from normal runecrafting, where the Abyss would give you extra XP and extra runes, but if you do normal runecrafting, you get magical threads. That way, you're essentially giving a choice to the players. You either use the Abyss, which is way more convenient, sure, and you get extra XP and you get extra runes, but you don't get the magical threads. But if you want to get the magical threads, you don't get extra XP and you don't get extra runes. You know, oh, but it's annoying for players because then they have to make a choice and lose out on something. Sure, they need to lose out on something to gain something else, but that's the point of having different methods that are viable. That's where old school RuneScape shines. That's why skilling in old school RuneScape is still so big and so important and so developed, right? Despite the fact that the profitability in that game, when it comes to skilling, really isn't that great. And even then, like, a lot of people don't actually give that much of a shit about, like, being efficient with XP rates and stuff like that. How is that possible when, you know, like, those two things are at play right here? How come people still value skilling a lot? And it's because Jagex gives people different methods, they give people trade-offs, they make people choose which methods, and the most important thing is they always make it worth for you to use a method, right? What if, for example, you know, okay, but, you know, Astral runes are really expensive, and I get it. Look, I'm not saying that, you know, Astral runes should be 1k GP each. I mean, I think they should, because I make a lot of money with it, but, you know, let's be realistic. Obviously, a lot of people don't want to spend 1k GP per Astral rune, right? You know, usually when it comes to supplies, you want to keep the price somewhat low for it to be accessible, right? But, okay, you want to encourage people to do Astral rune crafting. Rather than adding it to the Abyss and making the Abyss completely overpowered, what if you created a way to enhance Astral rune crafting, right? What if you created a mini quest where after completing it you would gain, for example, one of those blood essence that old school has, but for Astral runes, where if you have it in your inventory it has charges and then you craft Astral runes, but those extra runes can only be crafted if you're going through the normal altar, right? And you're not using the Abyss, right? What if the, you know, like standing in Lunar Island, you know, after completing some achievement or whatever, just grants you extra, you know, bonus when crafting Astral runes, right? So you need to have been there for more than X amount of time to make it way more worth it for you to use the Lunar Island bank, for example, and just be within the island crafting runes. You know, like, what if they took an approach that was more of a, hey, we want people to do this thing more, so rather than just adding it to the thing everyone already is doing, let's try and give incentives for people to do it outside of that, right? What if, for example, man, I don't know, like, what if being on the Lunar Spell book allowed you to, you know, cast a spell that would enhance your ability to be on the altar, right? And the altar then would give you, like, extra shit randomly, like either extra XP or extra runes randomly, you know? Like, what if we did that rather than just everything being on the Abyss, right? Especially because I already have a problem with the Abyss, and I've already said this before. I said this in my wilderness video for old school RuneScape, and this stands for both fucking games. I think the Abyss is way too fucking overpowered for the requirements it has. A mini quest and level 5 rune crafting is not what I have in mind when you have a place that gives, in RuneScape 3, extra runes, extra XP, magical threads for you to do the rune pouch, and easy access to every single altar in the game. 5 rune crafting and a mini quest. Really? That's all it takes to fucking... to me, I think that's way too fucking overpowered. I never liked the Abyss. I don't like it. And maybe someday I'll make a video about it. I don't know. But still, like, I just don't think that's very good. Right? But yeah, I think that's a huge issue. And that's usually... it's an issue that's... I'm using rune crafting here as an example. But that's an issue that's reflected pretty much everywhere in the game. Right? I always harp on this because I find it fucking insane. Runecrafting agility didn't have any major methods released for 7 years, so between the Prifdinous agility course, the next agility course to be released was the one in Anachronia in 2022, which is just insane. Like 7 years without a fucking major agility update. Really? Is that fucking bad? Like, RuneScape 3 skilling is really, like, down bad, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, this is just an extra example of it. And look, I do appreciate the effort that Gmod are putting into, you know, allowing more people to skill and making skilling better and giving more opportunities for people to skill and more incentives and creating more methods and everything. But, like, they really gotta just look... and they really gotta like consider the approach they have when it comes to skilling, because I think right now they're not really like looking at it very deeply, you know. They need to go to more of a fundamental case of, is what we're doing good? Is having like one way where people can do this skill and get everything from this skill good? Is it that beneficial for the game? Because personally, and playing old school RuneScape, I don't think it is. I prefer old school RuneScape's approach way more. I think it's way healthier for the game, and I think it's why people in old school RuneScape value skilling way more than they do in RuneScape 3. Obviously, that's not the only reason. In old school RuneScape, they've always valued skilling, and that's why they've always had skilling updates, where in RuneScape 3, if it's not a PVM update, sucks to be you, pretty much, right? And that's the fucking reality. Ever since COC came out, like, if you're not a PVM update, you're shit out of luck, basically. Like, let's fucking face it, right? Hopefully that is turning around, you know, and hopefully we have, like, an healthier view of skilling in RuneScape 3, but again, like, this needs to be addressed, you know, because I would like to see a more, you know, longevity approach to skilling, as opposed of sort of band-aid fixes that, you know, are there to temporarily increase players' want towards skills than to just, you know, fucking, you know, leave skills out to dry, and or, you know, rather than just take an actual good look at skilling, take a good look at what old school RuneScape does, and fucking just, you know, copy them, honestly. And yeah, and I think that devs need to not be afraid when it comes to... Look, RuneScape 3 has a lot of players that are in-game, and a lot of players, and this is what I fucking hate, I absolutely hate RuneScape 3 players for doing this shit, which is this idea that I'm in-game, so if a content update isn't for me, then it's death content, right? Because I think that this just kills a lot of skilling opportunities. Like, old school RuneScape is not afraid of releasing a fucking skilling opportunity for low levels, right? If they think that's gonna enhance the game, especially for the players that are gonna fucking come into the game later on, they fucking do it. Who gives a shit if you have 200 mil fucking with getting XP? It doesn't fucking matter, right? They're gonna still enhance the fucking skill, you know, even for low levels. And I think that in RuneScape 3, and this is something that I actually do not enjoy about the 110 skills, I feel the 110 skills only exist because if it wasn't new content for high level players, most players would not give a shit about these updates and would not support these updates, because most players are already level 99 in the skill and they don't want to like do new content because, well, I'm already finished with the skill and who gives a fuck. Because I think that the lack of investment in the skills and especially skilling in RuneScape 3 for so long has really led people to just see skilling as, I need to get XP to get the levels and then I'm done with the skill, and that's pretty much it, right? And I think that's such a fucking sad state for skilling to be in, and you know, like, again, I really think that devs right now, they need to sort of weather the storm, in the sense of like, bro, it's gonna fucking rain, there's gonna be thunders, you know, because people are gonna get upset at you. But, you know, if you keep going at it, eventually, stuff will get better. And eventually, like, because the thing is, right now, players are gonna be mad at you, 5 years from now, they're gonna fucking thank you, you know? And that's the thing, like, Jagex needs to start planning, when it comes to skilling in RuneScape 3, long term, because this shit's not getting it. These 110s are not getting it. You know, this fucking centrification of skills, right? You know, putting everything under one method that is like the OP method that you need to do is not fucking getting it. We need new methods, we need new incentives. Just again, like, look at old school RuneScape, copy what they're doing. I don't mind fucking, I don't mind it. I don't mind doing the same methods that I did in old school RuneScape for RuneScape 3. I don't give a fuck, you know, just do what they're doing, you know, please, right? I know the players are not gonna like it right now, but I fucking guarantee you, players that are gonna come into the game 3, 4, 5 years from now are gonna fucking enjoy it. And the thing is, you're just gonna have an healthier game, because that's the reality. I don't think it's very healthy for you to have to continuously raise the fucking level cap of skills, because otherwise players just not gonna do the fucking content, because, well, I already have level 120 on this skill, who gives a shit about new content, right? It's like, I just think it's such an unhealthy view of the game, and I think it just kind of ruins like any want that I have for skill in RuneScape 3, because most of the times it's never about the methods, it's never about like what activities I choose. It's never about, for example, well, I could do shooting stars and I get like these cool mining gloves or whatever, right, or this cool mining ring, or I can do Mother Lode Mine where I get like a coal bag and a gem bag and I get like the prospector set, right, or I could do volcanic mine and I actually get like these, you know, shot at the broken dragon pickaxe, right, or I can just get like ores and whatnot, or, you know, like it's never like about that. It's always about, well, I want to do rune crafting, do I feel like AFKing or being active? AFKing, rune span, active, abyss, and that's it. There's no other options. There's no, oh, you know, I could do blood rune crafting, you know, blood runes are actually decent many at the moment. You know, but I actually kind of want AFK, so I'm gonna do zero crafting. Yeah, it's not the best XP, but sure, why not? Actually, I kind of want to do Guardians of the Rift right now, because, you know, I still want to like get the pet, and it's a change of scenery. I still get some decent XP from it, even if I don't really keep a lot of the runes that I make there or whatever, right? And you know what, like, I really want to just watch a YouTube video, but I also want to like actually click on the game, right? I think I'm just gonna do like some blood rune crafting, or, you know, some cosmic rune crafting. Actually, you know, I don't even need to worry about the wilderness or whatever, and the bits fucking amazing, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that in RuneScape 3. In RuneScape 3, it's literally, you either do the fucking abyss or you do rune span. That's it. There's no other way, right? And this needs to be fixed. So yeah, honestly, again, these just went really under my radar, this change. And furthermore, like, I've already spoke about this before. I've already spoke about the need of diversifying skilling, and the if you go to my like Seek Love channel, to some content discussion, I'm sure like in some of them I remember talking about it, specifically about like RuneScape 3 skilling and the things that push players and the type of rewards and everything. So it's there somewhere. You know, it's very, my content discussions are very good. I think that you should definitely watch them. On my other channel, because on this channel all of the ones that I have are old. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this Ramble. I'll see you in next video, which I don't even know which one is gonna be.